Today is day 227 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming shir or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. Today's Arukh HaShulchan is Orach Chaim, of course. Simon Kuf Samech, Sif Hey, through Sif Yud Beis. We're talking about the things which possible water for mine Til Sidaim. Hey, V'sharavan Pito Psulim. If a person dunked his bread in the water, it's possible. I feel low. He's kind of even if he didn't have that in mind. But the bread just fell there. Venishran was soaked. If it's the type of bread which needs to be soaked. Because and if you had in mind to soak it in one vessel, and it fell into another vessel, psulim they're possible. Enough pass, but if the bread just fell out of your hand, immediately remove it from the water, and a baker who rinses his hands in water, which we said that they're kosher, that's when you took the water in your hands like that, in order to pat them down on the top of the dough of buns, or you stuck his hands in, and then rubbed it on the buns. The water he needs, he removed. The Westerners let the vessel, no malacha was done to them. But if he washed his hands in the water in the vessel, in other words, he deliberately washed in the water in the vessel, then psulos are no good. Also, they ain't malacha of them. The Beis Yosef name of Sefer Shuma says that this is still kosher. But and why? Because he is the holds the zelon mikrim malacha klal. Evidently, rinse your hands is not considered to be malacha. Have a look at Jesus Rambam to Shulchan Aruch. But the Rambam to Shulchan do not paskin that way. And the Mishabura says that have a consensus that if he rinses his hand from the dough in the water, it becomes puzzle. Like the Arukh HaShulchan will say, in fact, in the following sif. Back to Arukh HaShulchan. If you use the water to rinse vegetables, psulim, they're possible. If you need to rinse them, but if they're kosher, they're clean as kosher. It's like washing clean vessels, which you said is okay. The thing is that nowadays washing vegetables is considered to be a normal and universal process, so I don't think we have such a cooling nowadays. But if you soak in them vegetables so they shouldn't become wilted. It's definitely called melacha upsulim, and they're puzzle. Mr. Bura says that somebody will make it with the avid if they were moist and clean of dirt, and you only put them there to remain moist. But in such a case, it's best if you can find more water later on before you make a motzi to wash a second time without a bracha. I'm not sure why you would make a bracha the first time around. Again, in our day and age, I'm not sure that since we regard water and vegetables as being coming together, being essential, I don't know if we should be making on this. Anyway, I understand wilting is different than cleaning, but okay, back to if you put vessels in them in the water during the summer, shinis baku. I'm not sure this works, but they burst and line miskavtu in the water. They're going to come back together again. Interesting. I don't know how that works. How the water heals it. That might psuling the water is possible. But if you put live fish in them, so that they shouldn't die. That's not called malacha. Then a mayim pulling on cloud, the water is not affecting them in a direct way. Just saving them from dying. Even though the fish then die, sharing the water is still kosher. For the it says the water which a baker uses to rinse the dough from his hands, which is clinging to his hands, is possible. Oh no, sorry. He doesn't say it's possible. Those words are not there. He just says based on the order of what's going on there, it seems to be Aksheris Kai that he's saying these are also kosher, ayin sham. But that does not go as we said in the previous sif according to Rambam. Which we mentioned in the previous sif. The Taz argues in the Ramah, the Yam Shel Shloima, the Elio Rabbah. For the Havilei Lichtov Yeshomim, besides says Arukh HaShulchan should have wrote Yeshomim. The Lehegi Cholek Rabbeinu Beis Yosef is clearly arguing Beis Yosef. That's intent. Shekhasav was said at time in the Yishayim Lo Nia Nasu Malacha, but Malacha who says that the Urin once you made only kosher, we didn't do Malacha with them. Ayin Sham. Made the B'diach Yoda B'Sachim. That's the case. If you rinsed your hands in them. Harei Nases V'Kud Nasim Kula Malacha. In that case, Malacha was done with all that water. The Tzarech La Malacha, and it was Malacha which is necessary. If you accidentally, therefore says Yerushalayim, it's more. It seems to me more likely. Tell us stuff about fus. There's a typo in the print. Agaz is supposed to be higher up. Higher up. Amash Gaz Rabbeinu Beis Yosef, and that which Beis Yosef writes to be meat bil bohem anachton. Gluskin, if the baker baked the rolls in them, psulim ad kalushono. That's in a quote from Beis Yosef. That the Ramah says, also water in which the baker rinses his hands. Chulei klomar psulim. That was a possible he came along. He brings down a question of the Taz in the brackets, but it's not a kasha. Okay, so there's no other kashas. I don't think I have to deal with that. Zayin. Isa begitzin. Sheyesh kelim osim b'hem b'docham simonim. So there are cylinders which are made graduated sinuous cylinders, I think called graduated, which you make signs for displacing the meat to know how much the volume of the meat is. That's when Baimu must put water in meat. When the water goes up to such and such a mark, having mishkal kach, the weight is such. When they go up to a different mark, having mishkal kach, the weight is different. Mikri also by melacha, and if you use the water for that purpose, it's called with the melacha ayin sham. Because of those who say shim nasan l'sel davar shel reach toiv. Some will say if you put something which is the fragrance of the water inside, because by melacha it's called doing melacha, then psulim that possible. But davar tamur leaves sabakach. This is astonishing to pass for that reason. So at a time the by melacha psulim should not be kishayvchem. The reason why when you do melacha, they're puzzles because they're like drainage water. Here it might to enhance the water. It became enhanced. But furthermore, and all Yisrael otherwise to say the kosher and the dina, therefore fragrant water which has been put, which fragrance has been added. Vadeim sharing the certainly kosher v'ayin sof sifcha yud zayin, which we will not to get to tonight. Ches v'daish, you know the female she's going that which you've explained. But if you're cooling down beverages within the water, they should be called you do malacha in them and they're possible. Therefore, it's astonishing the minute of the world that they put into the water vessel, which they intend to use for washing. Bakbukos sheikhar, bottles of alcoholic beverages, or just other types of waters. They shouldn't get hot. It goes on another member of time, and nevertheless they use the water for washing. Nearly, Arukh HaShulchan wants to resolve this. This feel like they hold like one of the Gedolim wrote that Tzinun Eino Paisel, cooling down is not considered to be a psul rak she'amidon chamin. Only if you put the hot substance into the water, sheyitztanu b'chamayim, that they should get cool in the water. I mean, if you don't something, but you put them in cold, they shouldn't get hot. It's not called malacha being done with them. Uksherim. It's an interesting svara. A rabbi named Olas Dami and Damesk Eliezer. And he writes, those who write if you check a vessel with water, to see if it's whole or broken, obviously if there was a drip, it would be broken. I'm assuming the water is possible. And he is like Arukh HaShulchan argues. That's how it's talking malacha. The water, the vessel is made for water, but he checked if it's suitable for that water or not. Vein Zemalacha studies. This is not a malacha which is different than its ikar purpose. Its ikar purpose is to hold water, and you're checking it holds water. So therefore, it's not malacha, which would be to use the water for a different purpose than it actually is normally intended to, which is specifically for storage. Mr. Bura is more machmir. He says the Chiddush Rabbi Kiveger says tzarchim ladina, and the B'chai Yosef, of course, that's what Arukh HaShulchan was quoting here, is machmir, but Arukh HaShulchan is meko. Test mayim shlifnei hanapach, water which is in front of a blacksmith. Obviously, and used obviously to cool off metal, even though they haven't changed their color, pursuing their puzzle. They should be malacha because it's known that malacha was done with it. And he extinguished the hot metal in that water. Water which is in front of a barber. When he cuts other people's hair, uses the water. If they look different, they're puzzled. I guess he's for shampoo. I don't think so, because then it'll be used already. But I guess somehow it's there and hasn't. Not sure what it's used for. If they change their countenance, they're possibly lav ksherim. The zeal to sefta be a dime. Koshem view. Oh, let's see. Well, Pierce didn't explain. What is this part of doing the water? Well, if you're near it, so the Chashul suggests, look careful, takes a little water in his hands from the vessel. So the rest of it is kosher. Shelo naaseh ben malacha. Didn't use a fork. It's like the baker who just rinsed his hands without actually using by taking the water out. So commercial time with soap, sieve, dalit. The Mishnah Berurah says that it's something where it's where sometimes he washes his tools, but he didn't necessarily wash his tools. No chazaka. It's therefore the kosher misofik. Yud, mayim sheshasimem tarnigolim, water from which chickens drank, or shakev lokak or a dog licked from them. Yesh mishachosh, so those who say it's possible. B'tam ditam meichatas, since it says by paraduma water. Kol of sheshasimem posses mayim liyam miona, that any bird which drank from them passes the water except for a dove. Because all the birds magbim PM, they uplift their mouths when and water drips from their mouths back into water. That's what it says there in Para, Mesachas Para. If an animal of some sort drank from them, that's why they're possible. But this opinion does not seem to be correct. So that's the Lamitam Malacha Pundiv. So they're not possible because the Malacha. They ain't a malacha. It's not considered malacha. Ela mishum, but because lo have a mayim chaim el keli, they're not fresh water in the vessel, the water which has come from elsewhere. Even if it was because of malacha, these small amount of drops will surely be batel in the water of the keli. Furthermore, all chumash which we have by paraduma water to washing water. Rather, the ikra halacha is the ksher hamayim b'chol mishishasamem. Doesn't matter direct from the water; it's always kosher. Ben beima ben chaya ben ofos, whatever living being it was. Miu b'shtias kelev v'chazir, but except for the drinking by a dog or a pig. The nimusu hamayim makes the water repugnant. The havah kashov makes it like drainage water. They bring this from the Tosefta, but Tosefta says, I didn't find it in the Tosefta. Mishnah Berurah says, some say where animals drink from it is possible because of malacha, because when they pick up their heads, there comes down from the mouths the water that they drink, and the water is considered Nasa ben malacha because they're used for drinking. So they pass all the water when they get mixed in. Mishnah Berurah says the chayav ma'aser shas avchak, you can rely on the mechaber who even allows using water from which a pig or a dog drank. So on one hand he is machar, on the other hand is meko. Yud Aleph. Kasav Rambar Gam Mikvos, the Mikvos Dintes. Klishi Abba Revius Mayim Ksherim Tias Naim. A vessel which had a revius which is kosher for washing. Now also talking about Mayim Psulim Tias Naim, and you put in them a little bit of water which is possible for Tias Naim. Hare Lukshen, they're kosher, the Bat Lubarov, because they're negated in the majority of water. Not mina keli kashir shnasan. We took out a keli, same amount of water that you put in. V'nishur avius b'vag shaysan. You only have a avius left, as was precisely in the beginning. I raised the psula. The water is no good. Nishamayim apsulim mishlim u'shir avius, because the plus of water made up the shir of the avius. I can't show you. Kasav zel pisugi d'zvachim ayin sham. Akach birish Rashi sham. Kasav shezel rak b'vius b'tzimtzum. Rashi writes, however, it's only when it's very narrow, very precise avius, which would be 3.3 ounces, according to Reb Chaim Noah. Lo chashiv shir zuta ki hai levatlinu. That such a small shear is not going to negate it, which is interesting. So this small shear of is not going to negate the pulse of waters. Ayin Shab Ruchrachla says he's compelled to write this. The loki if not who dover to more. Be astonishing. Shall I feel be swim? Amina Kamish Niftu Bot Niflu. What's the bottle of the bottle? Because came to the daim. And so by the daim, the kill to Avi. So why would it taking out why taking a little water make it puzzle? So obviously Rashi is saying that it's because the shear is precise. Therefore, once if you took out some water which corresponded to Mayim Sulim, it's not chashav enough to be mavata of the Mayim Sulim. But if there was more than a to begin with, Mayim Sulim, and more than a little bit of water plus water falls in. But if you'll not a mashanasa chakras, that but even you took away that which you put in. That amount. It's possible to explain also the Rambam. However, even by precise reviewing, astonished on this chumrah, because when they wrote the lav le'inyan etilas yadayim itmar, that this chumrah is not for an etilas yadayim, el inyan tefillas kelim. In terms of tefillas kelim, ayin sham. There must be pain of all the places who did not bring this halacha. But obviously, Rashi Rambam also lo shchicha. Rashi Rambam, it's very rare. They have a revius mitzumtzum that because it's precisely your revius. Nevertheless, kind of halacha, kind of the mind psulim. Shesaru mind kshein pachas mi mechza. If the mayim psulim which were mixed into mayim kshein are less than half, niftu the bottom mutar tilos yadayim. Okay, so even if it's as long as it's more than half of the revius is kosher, the longer half of the total is kosher, it's bottom. It's obviously only the case when their countenance has not changed. Yud Beis. Water only passes drawn work only passes drawn water. Whether they're in a vessel, whether they're in the ground, if it's it's less than 40 saw. But not in mikveh water or mayon, or a spring when they're still attached to the ground. Mishnah Berurah says, even if they were at the time of malacha in the ground, since once it became shuvim initially, malacha passes them. You put them back in the ground, unless before they saw malacha passes them. But when you did malacha in mechubar, they're kosher until yestadayim b'tolush, which is exactly what the Arukh HaShulchan says. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, yesh mishkas directly in malacha cholim mikveh. Only terms of malacha, it's even in a mikveh. I'm sorry, Hok mikveh mayim kelim. Our mikveh and mayim different than kelim. I mean, shini mara, but in terms of a change in their look, or shlips of shias behemo, or it's the animal would no longer drink them. Gam bohem sulim. It's possible even in these cases. That's the Taz, but the Arukh HaShulchan says they borim tumuim. It's astonishing. Came the shame of feels good because since they're kosher for touching the body, even under these disreputable circumstances. Kosher with the kosher with the sadai. There's Sim Resha, all of these by the dvarm ain't bites of mikvah shlema, and we know in Sim Resha it says that these things don't pass. So a kosher mikvah ayin sham, gam a prim mekarim yichak with dvarm ayin sham, and the Arukh HaShulchan is rejecting the Taz, but the Mishnah Berurah paskins like the Taz, and the Mishnah Berurah says that that if the water is possible, she has from an animal drinking, no difference between drawn water or mikvah water. In terms of shini marat, that's in terms of an animal drinking. In terms of the change in its look, the Mishnah Berurah writes that somebody tovels his hand in 40 saw, it doesn't become possible if it has a change in its look, unless there fell within it a dye substance and it dissolved within it, or a beverage such as red wine or a similar fruit, And in a Maya, in the spring, Shita Bana doesn't change, it doesn't pass at all. But since again we deal with Rabbanan, we would pass him like the Arukh HaShulchan and say you could use that water for the purpose of the Netilas Yadayim. Again, if it's mikveh water, my water, even if you didn't, even animal drank from it, or if changed in countenance, you'd still be able to use it.